Things are getting interesting. We're now accomplishing quite a bit with our FilePro processing table. We're executing subroutines and so forth. If you notice, let me remove this beep it was to show you that command, and we can show you this little subroutine is closer within sight here. If at CD, if the creation date equals null, go sub that label hard copy is very, very interesting. Do you remember that I said that one of the very most important things of an input table is its end statement? So here is the end statement for input processing. We've fallen through to it, and we end after that subroutine. Below the end statement is this subroutine, hard copy, and it has its return. This will never get executed because nothing can ever go past an end statement. If the user presses escape, and this is not true, it will fall to the next if statement, test it, and end. It will never ever jump and just run this subroutine for no reason. It's below the main input table end statement. And you know there could be several different end statements, as I showed you a little bit earlier. Here's a restart, very much like an end. I'm going to show you something now that's besides the go sub. There's one other very, very useful routine, but I want you only to use this this command, this function, very sparingly. In fact, almost never. Just in certain instances, you can use not a go sub, but a go to command. And let me show you how you would do that. Let's say just before we end, we want to check that certain fields on the screen have been filled. And we don't want to do it with that that percent operator, that percent indicator that I showed you on defining screens. That's too hard and fast, and there are other reasons why you don't want to use that. But we want to do it within processing. We want to make sure some fields, and let's take a look here, which field's the most important field that should always be filled and has to be filled on this particular record, I think, should be the customer code. It must be there. You have to have one because we're going to attach other files to this application. We're going to have invoices maybe, and we want to mark each invoice with a unique customer code so we know who they belong to. Customer code is your unique identifier of this FilePro record. Yes, it has a record number, which is unique, but we don't rely on that for database purposes. It's kind of a system-used thing. FilePro uses it for various reasons, and you can use it once in a while if you have to get to a record and you happen to know it's record 29, you can go to it. But on the whole, inside the application itself, your application needs a unique identifier or a unique code for every record. So field 19, where the cuss code, is very, very important that the user fills it and doesn't just move his cursor past that field. So before we end, when they press escape, after we've done everything, even our little subroutine to know if we want hard copy or not, we're going to make sure that that field is filled. The way we're going to do that, we're going to say if the cuss code, and this is not case sensitive, I'm just typing it the way it looked on the screen. If I press F6, yes, it's got a capital C and a lowercase c, just making it look the same. This is exactly the same thing. Okay, if cuss code is equal to blank, null, if cuss code is empty, I'm going to put a comment here. If field is empty, meaning if the cuss code field is empty, then I want to do something. What do I want to do? Do I want to run a subroutine to fill it up? No, I don't. I just want to put the user right in that field and say, fill it up. And the way to do that is by saying screen, put them on the screen, and you use a comma, and put the field number that you want them to go to. In this case, it was field 19. That will put them right in that. It'll give control back to them. Won't run any more processing code. It'll just put their cursor in field 19, and they'll have to do something with it. And after that, the very next command I want to do, I'm going to put two spaces after it, is go to top. Where's top? Well, I mean, I want to go back to the top of the processing table and give them a chance to press escape again and run the table again. Let me show you. We have to label the top. We have to give it, if you ever say go to or go sub, The only other thing that can come after it is a label. And in this case, we'll label it top. Okay? The top of the table, the first line in the table. So what's going to happen is if this field is blank, it's going to put them in that field. In fact, I could make this a little more understandable, believe it or not, by not using the map name. I'm going to use this name now that you know what I'm doing. If field 19 equals null, when they press escape, as they're dropping down through the table, they're definitely going to hit this line. And it's going to say, if it's blank, put them right in that field, and then go to top when they're done with whatever they're doing in that field. Or done, period. Let me show you what this does. The very next thing that gets done would be an end. If the field is filled, nothing will happen. We'll put them on the screen. It'll just end. Let's try this. The goto command. Again, something you don't use very often, and I'll explain why in a bit. Okay, we're going to go into inquire, update, and add. Let's go here. We'll press update, escape. And after everything hunky-dory, I say yes. The thing ended. Why? Because this has a customer code, VALA000. Let's press the down arrow. Let's not bother to test the code here. We know it won't do anything because there is a cuss code. Here's a record where there's no cuss code. I press update, I move around, I do some various things. Maybe I've added the record and I forgot to put a cuss code in there. Now I press escape. It says, does everything look hunky-dory? I can even say, yeah, it looks fine. Maybe I didn't notice I forgot to put a cuss code. I just entered the record and I did everything I thought I was supposed to do, and I say, yeah, everything's fine. Okay, all of a sudden my cursor's back there, and I don't really know why, but I can see it's empty. Hey, I better put a cuss code. So I'll put a cuss code for Jim Asman. I might put JIMA0000. I like to fill up my cuss codes all the way. Okay, now I press escape. It's running the whole table from the top again. Essentially, we did a small restart of our own. And I possibly could have used the restart command, couldn't I? But that would have not done exactly what I wanted, because restart puts them in the first cursor in the cursor path again. I would have put myself in a little loop. I'd keep just looping. That would be no good. Or the first time I would fill it up, it would put me back in that field one extra time, even though I had just filled it. No, not good. Not what we want. We want to say go to top, and now when I hit yes to this hunky-dory question, I'm done. In other words, the program has said, okay, it is filled this time, and the next command down is end. Let's try a new record. Let's see if it works here. If I go, I'll forget this. I'll give, forget the dealer type. We'll put that in. I'll just put in, Mary Smithfield and company. I believe the company blank. You get the idea. We're adding a record. Let's press escape. Does everything look hunky-dory? To this point, this is all the information I have for this record. I'll say yes. And the very next question is, do I want a hard copy? No, I'm tired of ending paper. Oh, there I am, banged into that place again. And I know, because I'm a smart cookie, that I have to put something in there. Let's put MARY0000. Escapes. Everything look hunky-dory? Yes. Do I want a hard copy? Why did it do that now? That's sort of important to know. It's as if this record is new. At CD is equal to null here. Well, I'll say no, I don't want a hard copy. Okay, and I'm brought to a brand new record. Here's why it did that. I'm going to press cancel. Now the record is old. At CD will have a date in it. It's been stored, and FilePro has given it its creation date. It's entered it into the system maintain field at CD. If we go in and look at this process, you realize that I've been sending it back to the top of the table each time. Every time the field 19, the cuss code was empty, I put them in that field. And I haven't hit an end statement yet. I haven't hit the input processing end statement yet. Until you do that, that's when FilePro says, okay, they're finally finished entering the data on this record. Write it out to disk. Every other end statement you might hit, it would not do that. Only when you're finally done and there's no more code to process does FilePro say, okay, I'm finished with the input table processing, the stuff that started up here at the very first line. I've gone through this. I finally made it past this, and I finally made it past this. 19 equals null. So now I'm going to end. I'll write all this information out to disk, and I'll fill up all the system maintained fields, like who created the record, when the record was created, things like that. It writes them all. It writes out all system maintained fields at this point. So this is a nice thing. This go to the top, we've essentially said, hey, we sort of want to restart. We don't exactly want to restart. We're fooling FilePro and saying, put them back on the screen where we want them. It didn't put them in the first cursor field, by the way, on the screen. It didn't put them just in the first field on the screen. Just so happens that screen 19 is the first field on the screen. Had this been in the middle of the screen, it would still put them in it. It didn't put them at the top, in other words. It didn't put them at the top of the screen. Now, I know where that field is, and I always look at the top of the record to see where I am. What if this is a field that's somewhere in the middle or down in a more obscure part of the screen, mixed in with lots of other fields, not really nice and easy to see right at the top, not where your eyes might normally go? What if this was a different field? We don't have to put them directly into the field. We can first say, and let's do this, show, put a little message to them, and @ sign, so they have to press enter. Cust code must be filled. And by the way, I'm pressing insert F1. Cust code must be filled with an exclamation point. Then a semicolon, 2 spaces, and then put them in the screen. In other words, FilePro is going to show this message first, require them to press enter, and then put them into screen 19 and stop right here until they press escape again, at which point it's going to send them right to the top here, and it's going to start processing this if line all over again. None of this stuff, there's no problem with running all this stuff again because it all makes sense. So let's just try this real quick. I want to show you what this looks like. If I go into any record and I press update, let's clear. I cleared on Unix Control O the field, and I'm going to press escape, and I'm going to hit enter a couple times to go to another field, and I'm going to press escape. Now what's happening is I'm sorry, I got lost for a second here. It's saying, does everything look hunky-dory? Probably. Yes, it is at the bottom. Okay, so I say yes, everything does, not knowing I cleared the field. And the first thing it does is tell me, hey, cust code must be filled, you idiot. Press enter to continue. I press enter to continue. Now my cursor goes in that field, and I know that I have to put in a cust code. Let's put in the same one. Escape. Does everything look hunky-dory now? Yes. And we're done.